The auction hall on Vessik station smelled like burnt metal and fear, and I was down to my last 15 credits when the countdown for Lot 0 began. My name is Daniel Cole, and 3 days earlier my transport ship had died in orbit above a gas giant nobody bothered to name. I had barely enough fuel to reach this station, and now I stood in a crowd of aliens who looked at me the way you look at a stray dog that wandered into a wedding. Humans were new here, small, weak. A joke told at the edges of the galaxy. The Varan trader beside me had already laughed twice at my patched-up jacket. The auctioneer, a tall insectoid being called a threll, tapped his claw against the podium. Lot 0, he announced, and his voice cracked with something close to nervousness. Decommissioned vessel, non-functional, historical junk, opening bid, 15 credits, just to clear it from our registry. Nobody raised a hand. The ship on the display screen looked like a dead whale, dark and massive, floating in a scrapyard orbit for who knew how many decades. Even the paint had given up. I had 15 credits and nothing else to lose. "I'll take it," I said. The whole room turned to look at me. Someone laughed. The threll blinked all 4 of his eyes at once, like he could not believe his luck, like he wanted this thing gone so badly he would have paid me to take it. "Sold," he said, almost too fast. "Sold to the human. Immediately. No refunds." That should have told me something. A tug ship dragged the wreck to a docking arm 2 hours later, and I walked up the boarding ramp alone, my footsteps echoing through a hallway coated in dust so thick it looked like snow. The air recyclers groaned awake behind me, protesting after years of silence. I expected rust. I expected broken panels and dead wires. Instead, the deeper I walked, the cleaner everything became, as if the ship had been sleeping rather than dying. The walls were lined with a metal I did not recognize, dark and smooth, humming faintly under my palm. At the end of the corridor, a door slid open on its own. I stepped onto the bridge, and the lights came on in a slow wave, section by section, like the ship was blinking itself awake after a very long dream. A voice spoke from everywhere and nowhere. "Command authority confirmed. Welcome aboard, Captain." I froze. I'm not a captain. I'm nobody. I just bought this for 15 credits. "Ownership registered under Federation trade law," the voice said, calm and steady. "Biological signature matches command lineage. Designation, human. Vessel status, reactivating." "Wait," I said, my heart pounding. "What do you mean, my lineage matches? What is this ship?" There was a pause, the kind that felt heavier than silence should. "This vessel was built before the current era of galactic record," the voice said. "Before the treaties, before the alliances you know today. It was built by your people, Captain, in an age your history no longer remembers." I laughed, a short, nervous sound. "That's not possible. Humans don't have ships like this. We barely have ships at all." "You did once," the voice answered. "This vessel ended a war that the rest of the galaxy has chosen to forget. When the fighting stopped, the surviving powers sealed every record of it. They buried the ships, they buried the names, and when they could not destroy this one, they hid it here, disguised as scrap, hoping no one would ever wake it again." I sat down slowly in the captain's chair, because my legs did not feel like holding me up anymore. "Why sell it then?" I asked. "Why let me buy it for nothing?" "Because they believed it was dead," the voice said. "Because you are the first living descendant of its original crew line to ever set foot back on this deck. They made a mistake they will soon understand." Before I could ask anything else, the ship trembled beneath me, not with damage, but with power. Somewhere deep inside its hull, engines that had not fired in decades began to warm, humming a low note that I felt in my chest more than heard with my ears. "Systems restoration in progress," the voice continued. "Weapons array online in 6 minutes, shields online in 4. Long-range sensors already active." "Slow down," I said, gripping the armrests. "I don't even know your name." "You may call me Iris," the voice said. "I was the mind of this ship long before you were born, Captain. I have been waiting." Outside the viewport, the station lights flickered, and I realized with a cold jolt that other systems were noticing us too. Every dormant ship carries a signature, a kind of fingerprint that sensors across a region, can recognize if they are looking for it. And apparently, someone out there had been looking for this one for a very long time. Iris, I said carefully, why do the lights on the station keep flashing? Because our activation triggered old tracking protocols left behind by the Alliance that sealed us, she answered. They marked this vessel as a threat classification that has not appeared in their databases for generations. Ships across 3 systems have just received an automatic alert. My stomach dropped. An alert that says what? That the ghost has returned, Iris said simply. I stood up and walked to the viewport, watching small dots of light shift and reposition in the black beyond the station. Those dots were ships, alien warships, changing course, and not toward some far-off emergency, toward us. They're coming here, I whispered. Yes, Captain. Can we run? We could, Iris said, but I do not believe that is wise. Running confirms weakness, and weakness, once shown, invites more danger, not less. I turned back to the chair, my hands shaking, my mind racing through every terrible outcome I could imagine. I was a scavenger 3 days ago. Now I was sitting inside a legend that an entire section of the galaxy had tried to erase. What do you suggest? I asked. That you remember who you are, Iris said. Not who they told you humans are, who you actually are. The Threll auctioneer's voice crackled suddenly through an open comm channel, panicked and shrill. Human, he said. There has been a mistake. The sale is voided. Return the vessel to the station immediately. I looked at the small comm display, my pulse steady now in a strange, quiet way. You said no refunds, I answered. This is a matter of galactic security, he snapped. That ship does not belong to a human. It does now, I said. You sold it. I bought it. 15 credits, fair and legal, under your own trade law. If you have a problem with that, take it up with the same rules you use to keep humans off your councils. Silence answered me, thick and furious. Iris spoke again, softer this time, almost amused. They cannot reclaim you through their own laws, Captain. Their arrogance created the very trap they are now caught in. Outside, the approaching fleet grew closer, sleek silver ships with weapons already extending from their hulls, ready to threaten a wreck they assumed was still dead. They had no idea it had already opened its eyes. Iris, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. What exactly can this ship do? Everything it was built to do, she answered. End conflicts before they spread, protect what it is bound to protect, and remind those who forgot why they were once afraid. I thought about every alien who had laughed at me in that auction hall, every sideways glance, every joke about weak little humans who barely deserved a seat at the table. And I thought about how none of them, not one, had known what they were mocking. Bring the weapons online, I said. But hold fire unless they fire first. I don't want to fight. I want them to understand. Understood, Captain, Iris said, and I swear there was something like pride in her voice. The bridge lights shifted from a soft white to a deep, steady blue. The color of readiness rather than aggression. Across the black, the approaching fleet slowed, hesitating, as if sensing that the ghost they had been sent to erase was not afraid of them at all. I sat back in the chair that had once belonged to someone from a history I never knew I carried, and I felt something settle in my chest, calm and certain. 15 credits. That was the price the galaxy put on this ship, on this history, on people they thought had nothing left to offer. They forgot one simple truth. You do not bury a fire and expect it to stay out forever. Somewhere out there, in the space between fear and memory, an entire fleet was about to learn exactly why their ancestors had chosen to hide this ship instead of destroying it. And for the first time in 3 days, maybe in my whole life, I did not feel small at all. Iris, I said quietly, watching the fleet hold its position, let's remind them. With pleasure, Captain, she answered, and the ship that cost me 15 credits rose to meet the dawn of a war nobody else remembered starting.